Hey guys, Scripted Brewers with another video, and this is kind of like the final nail for me in terms of like, they're never doing this movie. I just don't, how? At this point you can't. How can you? Because Daisy Ridley's too busy. Rey's Star Wars movie faces new challenges following latest Daisy Ridley update. Daisy Ridley's upcoming film slate raised further concerns about the status of her Star Wars film. After concluding the sequel trilogy, blah, 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 Rey, at least as news from Star Wars Celebration 2023, confirmed that Daisy Ridley would reprise her role. So we're talking almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, they announced it, and absolutely nothing has been done. And I just have a sneaking suspicion this is a Bob Iger thing. And the thing is if there was a chance of her doing this, I don't think she'd be taking on other projects, right? Because the rumor was that she was offered $12 million to do the Rey movie from Lucasfilm, from Kathleen Kennedy. So I have this feeling that if it hadn't been squashed, she wouldn't take on other roles. Right? Now, there's the script issue, but the script, apparently they're still going through them and they're gone through multiple writers and blah, 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 blah. But she's taken on 4 projects. It's not like she's taking on one and saying, oh, I'll do this one thing while you guys work on the script and then we'll work on that. Played with challenges. Several writers have joined and departed the movie without a screenplay moving forward into production. During this time of flux, Ridley has remained busy, committing to several new film projects. The latest report from Variety confirms Ridley has been attached as the lead on The Good Samaritan, a new action thriller from Pierre Morel. Okay, so there's that. That starts in the spring. It has been reiterated that it's not canceled, the Rey movie, but it appears to be in a perpetual state of development with ongoing scripting. In other words, we don't know what to do now. She didn't have to grow as a character, was always awesome. There's nowhere to go. She's the most powerful. She's everything. So it doesn't make any sense. With Ridley committing herself to more film projects, it seems it's still a while before cameras start rolling on a Star Wars movie. The list of announced films that Ridley is attached to is as follows: Dedication, Kill a Bee, The Last Resort, Me vs. Me, and then the untitled. So, like, there's those ones as well as The Good Samaritan. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, look at all this. Pre-production, 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 pre-production. Last Resort is in post-production. I don't know why it says that they're filming the new Jedi Order movie, but whatever. Maybe they're filming it in secret. No, but like, you know, this is all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commitments. So even if they were going to do this movie, it's going to be another few years before they even start. So I think, my guess is, I don't think Daisy Ridley and her agent are idiots. My guess is Iger killed it. Lucasfilm doesn't want to come out and admit it's over. So they're just kind of ignoring it and, yeah, just don't talk about it. And Daisy Ridley and her agent were like, well, it doesn't look like this is happening, so we might as well start committing to other projects. Because you don't commit to that many projects. That's a couple of years of filming at least. Again, if you feel like there's going to be approval for a Rey movie that you're going to get paid, you know, $12 million for, that would just be kind of dumb, right? If you had any indication that, like I said earlier, like, oh, okay, maybe it'll be done in 6 months, I'll commit to this movie and then hopefully we'll do that. Because there's no way these other movies are paying her anywhere near that. So The Good Samaritan will occupy her time for some of 2026. Kill a Bee is reportedly set to begin production in Q2, so that's gone. It's possible that even if the script for Lucasfilm's Rey film is greenlit in the next few months, production will need to wait until Ridley can clear her other commitments. Well, that's just it. So I don't see how this is even happening. Earlier in March, Ridley told the Direct that she didn't know when cameras would begin rolling on her next Star Wars film. Actress taking on new projects seems to suggest that there's been no direction from the powers that be at Lucasfilm to block out her schedule for production on the film. Yeah, so there you go. So I don't think this movie's ever happening. I think it's officially done. There's no possible way. They have nowhere to go. So I think the only thing that they may, like I have said in previous videos, try to do is shoehorn her into the end of Starfighter or something like that, just to test and see. But even if that's the case, she's committed for a while. So Starfighter should be done shooting in a month. Is it possible that they snuck her onto the set for a couple of days to get a scene in with her to try and put her in there at the end or something like that. That's where this kid's going. That's the rumor that Gosling's character is bringing this kid to her to see how the fans react. And then in 4 years, they'll make a Rey movie, right? Like, I don't know. Like, she's committed basically for the next 2 years. So I guess they could start shoot. Yeah, like you're talking, that's a huge gap. Even if the reaction is positive, which it's not going to be. And I think she sees the writing on the wall. I think Iger killed it. I think he's like, there's no point in even trying this anymore. And there was those rumors, remember, was it last year? That I think it was Chris Gore and some other pretty, connected dudes were saying that they were shopping Star Wars and they were looking for somebody to buy it. And they couldn't find anybody to buy it. That tells me that Iger's kind of done. And he knows that they can't go. There's nowhere to go. They're going to have the Starfighter movie after the sequels. Maybe you try out, you test the waters and see if the Rey thing is good reaction wise. But I think he knows it's not going to be received positively. So I think he's like, well, it's over. I think he thought that before they even started shooting Starfighter. That there's no way it's going to work with Daisy Ridley anymore, which is maybe why he was shopping the brand. Because the reality of it is if they can't go past the sequels, what are you going to do? Are you just going to keep doing shows and stuff in the in-betweens and all that? Like, you got to move on sometime. Can you do something hundreds of years after The Rise of Skywalker? Well, not now, not really. Not with how they've screwed up the Force and done all this nonsense. How are you going to do that now? It's kind of too late. There's not really anything you can do. So, all that to say, I think it's over. I think there's like a 1% chance that this movie ever gets made. And Daisy Ridley and her agent are kind of, in my eyes, I am being communicated to that it's never going to happen. Which is kind of good news in a way, because it's like, if the indicators are telling us with all this stuff going on that they know they can't move past the sequels, really. They're going to try to with Starfighter. Let's assume she's not in Starfighter, right? Let's just say that it's just a standalone whatever. Okay, are you just going to do a whole bunch of post-sequel non-Force standalones? I guess you could, but are those really going to make any money? Are people going to be that interested in that? I don't think so. I don't think so over the long haul. So I think this is a positive in the sense that I feel like they're getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed now. And in my previous video, I talked about how I think they're going to put Luke into either Ahsoka or Mandalorian and Grogu or both. I think likely Ahsoka Season 2. And that's going to get them some hype and stuff, whatever, but they're going to get squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed now. It's just getting to the point where they are going to have to offload Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm's been a big loser for Disney. Other things have made money. There's been some flops along the way, but other things have made money. The live-action remakes, right? Like Lilo and Stitch did amazing. What was that? Elemental or whatever did a crazy amount of money. Isn't it like the number one animated movie now? Didn't it pass Snow White even with inflation, I think? Pretty close, or it did. So there's other places where they're making money on stuff. And there's some losers mixed in there too, obviously. But Lucasfilm's just a total loser. And I think it's getting to the point where they're just going to have to offload it. And I think they've been thinking about that for a while. And I think if you can't go past the sequel trilogy with Force users, with Rey, I just don't see how it's going to work. And I don't think you can. I think her character is just, it sucks. Nobody wants it. So it's like, so Daisy Ridley sees the writing on the wall. And she's doing what she's doing. And I think that means that this is over. And again, it's great because it means they're being squeezed to the point where they're going to have to sell. And you know what would be really crazy too? This is another thought. What if them putting Luke in Mando and Grogu or Ahsoka Season 2 is an attempt to get the hype up to sell? Because they know that, like, Luke dies in The Last Jedi, so you can't put Luke past the sequel trilogy in a real capacity. What are you going to do? Just have Force Ghost Luke showing up all the time? Who's going to go to a movie to watch a Force Ghost Luke show up for 2 minutes? I don't think anyone's going to do that. So maybe this is their attempt. They're going to put Luke in something, get the hype up, and then try and shop it again. You know? That would make sense to me from a business standpoint if you're trying to recoup as much money as you can. I don't think any other studio or any other company is going to fall for it. I think it's possible that somebody buys it and starts over. But right now, nobody wants it. And so maybe if Luke brings enough hype and enough revenue that somebody will say, okay, I'll give you $3 billion for it, even though it's not really worth that anymore. And then announces they're going to start from scratch. Of course, I'm dreaming right now. That's what we all want. We want that so bad. I would love to see somebody like Elon Musk start a production company, because I think he'd hire the right people. He tends to do that in business. He tends to hire the right people. So that would be cool. But anyway, I just think this movie's done. I think it's like there's no possible way they're ever going to make this. It's like 1% or less chance. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like, subscribe. Always helps the channel. Feel free to check anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.